Nacho man, yeah. I got to be a Nacho man, to be a Nacho man. I got to be a
Welcome,
Nacho
Vault
man.
Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. I am kind of sick today. So I am going to end our series on color changing light boxes today with something that, frankly, I probably should have started with, which was a little practical application that we could do that was very easy and simple and anybody could do. Certainly something much easier than these big light box wall builds or animations. We're going to build ourselves a little security station. I recently had to go through airport security for work. Got me thinking about doing something like this in Fallout 4. So if we step through, what'll happen is hear a noise and we get a green light. And that says that we're okay to proceed. Or sometimes when we step through, we will get a red light and an alarm that says that it is time for us to go through some additional screening. So I've got all the wiring here as neat as I think as it can be. Got all of my gear hidden inside of this box here. We've even got a terminal for the security guard and a little repeater display on his desk that is going to show the same information as that larger light box up there. I promise that if you follow along, anybody can build something like this, and it can be used for things other than a security station. It could be used basically anywhere where we want to have something that appears random and activates a light box. It's not actually random. We're going to do this all vanilla with the exception of the Place Anywhere mod that is available on PC and Xbox One. Other than that, everything else is vanilla, and as I said, I promise anybody can do this. Let's get started. So I've gone ahead and set some things up in advance just because watching me flip through menus is probably not the most entertaining thing. And I've got my power armor display, which is going to form the basis of our quote-unquote security scanner. I've got my first piece of conduit down just so that I know everything's going to be straight and end up where I want it to be. I've got a security desk and a piece of plywood in the front because once we put that terminal inside the desk, we'll want to hide that from this side a little bit. We've got a shack wall corner here that we're going to use as the basis of our machine and hide all of our electronics inside of it. We've got a terminal ready to go, and we've got a power counter that I have set to 4. That is going to give us our illusion that this is a random selection when the thing goes red and sounds an alarm tone. There are ways to make this completely random using random gates out of the Advanced Settlement Power mod, but I figure that for this, at least, we're just going to try and do things a little bit more simply, and the only mod that we're going to try and use here is Place Anywhere. Got 2 delayed off switches that I have set to 3 seconds each. We'll explain those in greater detail later. Just know that I've got these logic elements already pre-programmed, and I have other tutorials on how to program those if you don't know how. Last things that we've got set up is I've got my light boxes set up here and set to the colors that I want, and I have reminded myself that red is always on the right. That way I can put these things where I want and get them wired up without having to actually have power inside of them. So once you have those things set up, where we're going to get started is we're going to go into the power menu and go into connectors and switches and get ourselves a couple of switches. First, we want a pressure plate. That is what we step on to activate the machinery. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the global collision check because these pressure plates do not like to play nice with the power armor station, and I'd like to sink this down so it's not sticking up quite so high. And what we want to do here is more or less get it kind of centered up. It doesn't have to be perfect for a tutorial after all, and then raise it up so that the edges are visible. If we don't have this at least this high, then we won't actually be able to step on it and depress it and have it actually work. Next thing that I want is I want a wall mounted switch, and I'm actually going to set this over here for now because this was kind of a booger to wire using the wire glitch earlier when I tried this out for practice. And so we're going to start our wiring with going to the power armor station here. And I would normally like to have a switch in between the power and everything, but with the way the wiring routing works out for this thing, it ends up being a little bit nicer and neater to have it, my switch, be in between the power station, the power armor station, and my pressure plate. And that wants to not connect, so we're going to wire glitch this, and sometimes this is hard to do with the power armor station in the way. There we go, worked on the first try, awesome. So this is basically just setting things up. So one, the guard looks like he has some controls, and two, so that we can switch our contraption off if we would like to do so. And now we've got power going to our pressure plate, and we can send that over to the conduit. So we'll just glitch from pressure plate to conduit, hopefully. Nope, that didn't do it, darn it. And we're gonna do this jumping thing, and I do really hate that. So let's go over to the conduit, and oh gosh darn it, this is gonna be difficult. Why don't we try going from there to the pressure plate. There we go. So now we've got it set up to where when we step on the pressure plate, this conduit is live. Next thing I want is I do want a couple pieces of conduit to route our power. So let's grab this junction here and put that there so that we'll have something to hook our terminal to. And then we'll grab ourselves a little straight piece there and this tight curve. And then finally, we're going to be able to put another conduit end on it inside of our machinery box. And again, this is all going to be live when someone is stepping on the switch. Let's go ahead and put our terminal in place. And here again, I'm going to turn off the global collision check. I always do this for next object placement only, because if you leave it off, then you can't place anything down and things start to get weird, and sometimes I just frankly forget to turn it back on. So we're just going to center this up kind of in front of the desk chair there a little bit, and activate place anywhere and place at location. And there we are. And since we already put that piece of plywood in the front, it's going to be kind of hidden back there, and we can wire to this terminal. Now this terminal will only be live when someone is stepping on the plate here, but here again, I think it kind of looks nice, that this terminal is only active and working when somebody is standing in the scanner. Red is on the right, so let's grab our light box here that's going to serve as our repeater display. Just kind of set that right about there, and It might be a little bit lower than I would have liked, but it will work for a tutorial. And we'll grab our other small light box, see if it wants to snap to it. It doesn't, so we'll just let that sit in space for now. We'll come back and wire that here in a minute. Get our red light box and put that on the side of our machine. And that's probably good enough right there. And finally we'll get our green light box, and that will allow me to snap. Nice. So what we need to do now is set this thing up so that sometimes it is going to be a red light and sometimes it's going to be a green light. Well, how do we do that when we've only got a single input? And the answer is logic gates. You could probably do this with a fancy power counter setup, but this logic gate setup is easy and probably easier to do than power counters. Now I hear people groaning and say, logic gates are complicated. And my response to that is, if this is a great one to start with, a setup like this where you want two mutually exclusive things to happen, because this was really easy to understand. The top is an AND logic gate, and if you watch the tooltip at the top, it says transmits power if all inputs have power. And then we have this other one down on the bottom that's a not AND logic gate that says transmits power unless all inputs have power. So that means that these things are binary. One will be on and the other will always be off, no matter how you wire up your inputs, if you wire these inputs to the same things. So our first input on both of these is going to be our little conduit here, so that every time we step on the pressure plate, we've got at least some power coming into these things. Our next input is going to be this power counter, and this is how we're going to switch between the two logic gates. If we hook this up here, every time someone steps on the pressure plate over there, the power counter will go up by 1. Now most of the time when it reads 1, 2, 3, 4, it is going to be off, and that would mean that our not AND gate is going to be on, because we'll have this on, that off, not AND gate is on. Every once in a while when it reads 0, our AND gate will be on, because we've now hooked this to the AND gate as well. So when it reads 0, this will be off because both inputs will have power, and this will be on because both inputs have power. And that's all it takes for this logic gate setup, and this is something that can be useful for a variety of different applications. Now, since we want our lights to be on for a little while and then turn off, what we're going to do is use a delayed off switch. I can hook this delayed off switch to the AND gate, and since the AND gate is the one that is off most of the time and only on every once in a great while, we'll hook that to the red light box. Remember, red was on the right. And while we're at it here, let's go ahead and get our sound going as well. I like to use these powered speakers. They just give a nice buzz and an angry sounding no type sound to them. And I typically stack 3 to 4 of these things whenever I use them, because they are so very quiet. If you don't stack a few of them, they are going to be difficult to hear. And since that didn't want to wire straight up where I wanted, let's just get a couple more out here. And they can just be wired in series. They don't have to each be individually wired to our delayed off switch. We're almost done here. All we have to do now is take this other delayed off switch and hook that to the not AND gate. Since the not AND gate is going to be on almost all the time, that's the one that we want to be hooked to the green light. Let's see if this is going to behave itself. It is not, so I'm just going to be in charge here, and oh no, it wants, it's that speaker. It's interfering with the collision on that wire. Let's see if I can move it away a little bit. And there we go. I can just pop this guy back inside here. And finally wire up some more speakers and our, oops, we don't want to store that, and our green light. In fact, why don't I, before I forget, hit our green light. That didn't want to grab, so why don't we wire glitch that. There we are. Now for yes type noises, I like these little blip speakers. They give a nice little pleasant sound. Let's just pop some of these inside of here. Actually, things are getting packed enough in there that we're just gonna use our good friend Place Anywhere to get that stuff in there. And we'll just wire up each one. And we'll just shove that in with a Place Anywhere. And oops. Shouldn't. You always want to move just a little bit before you grab and release something to reset a wire so that it doesn't pop back to its original location. Let's put that guy in. Grab and release, and almost forgot, let's hook up our green and red lights that are going to be on the desk. So we can just wire glitch to this green one, and this pole on the right was going to the red, and finally we can do a copy paste and put those light boxes on top of each other. And copy paste, paste position, and exit. And finally, we can do the same with this guy. Oops. Back. Object properties, copy paste. Copy position, OK, exit, and copy paste, paste position, OK, and we can grab and release our delay off switches in here to force those wires all to update, since everything that we just moved around was hooked to, actually to that green one. I don't think we even need to touch the one for the red, now that I think about it. And finally, we can put some walls up, kind of hide things on the inside. I like this half wall in particular for that. It likes to snap right in. And then we could put another half, we could put a door there, we could put another half wall. For now, I'm just going to leave it open. We're ready to test our contraption here, and we could even test it from inside the build mode, but there we go. It is working. One thing that I have noticed about this is that if you get too eager and you step off of the pressure plate before the light goes out, sometimes it can glitch out a little bit. There's our red light, and you can see that terminal turn on when we step onto the pressure plate. One other thing that I have noticed here is that for some reason, every time the first one after the red light, it doesn't do anything at all, and I cannot explain that. Let me kind of just step on and off fast enough that hopefully I can cause that glitch to happen. And of course, now that I'm doing a video on it, the glitch did not happen. But sometimes if you step on and step off of these things fast enough, they will glitch out and you'll end up with the red light and the green light both lit at the same time. Can't explain it, and apparently can't replicate it on the video either. So that is it. It was really easy to do, and we could do even more things with something like this. We could, for example, have, if this was part of a larger bunker or a vault setup or something like that, we could have a powered door that opens when the light turns green and closes when the light turns red, for example, or any other number of things, whatever your imagination can come up with. Just wanted to show a little idea of something that we could do with these colored light boxes. Again, there are many things that we can do beyond just a great big light box wall like I've got in the background over here. Hope you found this information useful, and if you did, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not like, please tell me why in the comments so that I can try and do a better job for you next time. I have more Fallout content coming, so be sure to subscribe. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.